So we will continue our journey into the Voynich Manuscript with the hypothesis that all plants in the Voynich Manuscript are fake plants. We will demonstrate that one by one, but first we want to focus on the various root systems and explain why it is fake, many of the root systems, and then later we will also explain why the stem and the leaf systems are also fake. The fakeness has a very important significance because we think the authors of the Voynich Manuscript deliberately made botanical mistakes, created flaws in the plants, because there is a hidden level of message beneath all these flaws we will consider later on. So, in order to discuss the Voynich plants, we need first to do a little bit of studying about root systems, because my hypothesis will be that all the plants in the Voynich Manuscript are fake plants. They don't exist in reality, and they will never be able to exist in reality because there are in each plant biological flaws. And I say this because I think it's deliberately. I think there is a hidden message behind the mistakes made in the Voynich Manuscript that makes them no mistakes but deliberate changes of the biological blueprint of plants to convey a secret message. But first, for this hypothesis, I need to show you the basic two root systems in plants. It's called the taproot system. We mostly find in dicotyl plants, like for instance carrots, and nearly all the higher plants you see in nature are dicotylic. And then there are the grasses, of course, and they are a separate group. They're called monocotylic. That's also a monocotylic root. It's a fibrous root, and it has many little roots. So a root always grows via a growth system, and the growth system always is located at the end of the roots. It's called the apical meristem. You find them everywhere, and they always grow in that direction. So this defines the various shapes of roots. You can have roots which are full of reserve material, like sweet potatoes, like beetroots, like carrots, and all the roots from a taproot system have a basic biological blueprint which are comparable. And then in the fibrous root system you of course can have a lot of superficial roots, but basically this is the blueprint of the fibrous root, and also here every apical meristem grows in that direction. So then there are a couple of plants who have so-called adventitious roots. That can be roots which sprout from the stem or just superficially, like the crown roots. It's also adventitious root. But then there is always a primary root and lateral roots, and also here they grow via the apical meristem. And then there is a stem variety which looks like a root. It's called a rhizome, and rhizome is always growing parallel to the earth in various directions, but this is basically a stem. So it grows also with an apical meristem, but that's on the end of the stem, just as the plant itself goes up. And then here at the end you have the apical meristem that grows in that direction, so the plant becomes bigger and bigger. And the rhizome, they grow under the ground, and then every once in a while you can find new sprouts, and it seems that there exists a new plant if you look from above, but they're all linked underneath the ground in a stem system which is called a rhizome. This is basically everything there is in related to the blueprints of plants, the blueprint, and all the plants we know are built according to that blueprint. So if we see a plant which has a root system we do not directly recognize, we can check, is it according to the blueprint or not? If it's not according to the blueprint, then it's either a plant from another planet, which is not so very likely in this case, or it's a fantasy plant. And this is definitely happening with all the plants in the Voynich Manuscript. They are all fantasy plants, they're all fake plants. And we will show that one by one in a later video, but this is the major argument why the plants in the Voynich Manuscript should be taken up as a symbolic arrow into a direction of a certain occult knowledge we will reveal later on.